Hello and welcome back to the Cartoonist channel. Well, guess what? We're not outside filming this week. We're actually in the studio because I've been rummaging around in boxes of old artwork, stuff I've been doing for many, many years. You know, the artwork I draw, it gets put away in these big plastic containers and then shoved in a cupboard, and another plastic container started, and that fills up, and so on. It's just getting in the way. So I've been through it, getting rid of all the stuff that I just don't want to keep anymore, and getting rid of the old rubbish, I suppose, making space for even more rubbish. And whilst I was doing it, I came across this picture. It should be up on the screen now. And through a little bit of quick schoolboy mathematics, I worked out that this picture is 45 years old this month. Now, how do I know it's this month? Because when I was 16, when I drew this picture, I was in a school play, a school musical no less, called The Power Station Gang, about a bunch of cats. I suppose feral cats, I guess they were, and they were being chased by this rather unsavoury guy called Wilberforce Pike. I guess he was a male version of Cruella de Vil, and he was trying to get the cats and get their skins and so on and so forth. You know how the story goes. And I'd been drawing cartoons for a couple of years, but not many people knew that I drew them. And before I was due to go on stage, I was quite nervous, so I sat in a corner and just started drawing, just to try and calm my own nerves, really. Before I realised that I was surrounded by girls, which is always a good thing when you're a 16-year-old lad. And so I sort of drew those, and more people came over. Before I realised it, cast teachers as well were just all watching me draw cartoons, mesmerised by it all. And they asked me to do this and do that and so on and so forth. And I won't explain the whole story because it involves a particularly horrible teacher. I would explain the whole story in the video, but basically I drew this poster of the characters. So today, because people on here and just generally in life ask me a lot, have I always been able to draw cartoons? Well, the answer is no. You've got to start somewhere. And when I was drawing these, like I said, it was a couple of years into my journey. So you'd imagine the stuff I do now as opposed to then is a lot different. And sometimes it's nice just to take a picture I drew a long time ago, 45 years is a long time ago, and draw it as I would now with all the experience that I've got from these years, the intervening years. So that's what today's cartoon's about. I thought it was a nice idea. I hope you do as well. So come along with me now. Shall we all go back in time together? Yes, let's go back in time and see if we can mess up a picture there as well.
Right, here we go. This is it. The redrawing of some of the characters. Now I'm going to start off with Nosha. Oh God. Just start off with him there. Now he had he was a bulky character. He wasn't he was a kind of a sort of a tough guy, but he was just big and he was a bruiser. I mean, the guy that played him was as well. Really nice guy. But he was a bit of a beefy character. So I think the character took on the persona of the actor. Is his name Rob? I forget his name now. 45 years ago. But nice guy. So yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it this way. That's it. Let's see, we start again now. I think it was quite Disney-esque, shall we say, in the way that I wanted to sort of portray it. Those little trilby hats, so we'll bring that round there a bit more, I think. Yes, we'll do that. And I think maybe small ears, small cat's ears. and half closed eyes. And he was very laid back. Either Rob or the character, they were both laid back. There we go. So there we've got the head. We're on the way. And big bulky character, so let's get the body in there. Like I said, laid back. So there's body at an angle. I'm giving an arm up here. Right, okay, so that's enough chatter about them. We'll get into the characters as it goes on. Maybe not, I don't know. I say these things at the start of the video, and then by the time I've finished it and I've been watching it thinking, I didn't mention that. I said I was going to mention that, but I never mentioned it. Because I'm an old idiot. But yeah, so anyway. Like I said, I was nervous. I was waiting to go on. I was waiting for the play to start, actually. We were all waiting to go on. I think I came on about 10 minutes into it. I wasn't straight on. So the rest of them had all had probably a few scenes under their belt, so they were a bit more relaxed by the time I got on. But this, when I started drawing this, no one had been on. The auditorium was filling up with parents and grandparents and all the people who were sort of, I think there were a few dignitaries in there as well, because you did that in those days. The schools would invite, the Lord Mayor and Lady Mayor and all that sort of stuff. And so we were all very nervous. So I sat down and I started drawing. And before I realised it, I gathered myself a crowd. And after a while, they started to say, can you draw my character? Can you draw mine? Can you draw mine? So I did without thinking. And of course, that relaxed me and it relaxed them. And from that point onwards, I just got this name as a cartoonist. And I just carried on drawing and people loved it. And people from all over the school then started to say, can you draw this? Can you draw that? And that's when I got used to people watching me draw. And so it was good fun. So when I'd done it, the teachers saw it. They thought, oh, this is great. We like this. This is really nice. Well done. And I'm very impressed. So I said, thank you. And they said, look, it turns out that one of the people who was playing in the orchestra was a friend of one of the teachers. Because although the school had, it was one of these plays that they buy. It was called the Power Station Gang, written by someone I don't know who it was written by. And the play comes to us fully formed. But the teachers decided to turn it into a musical. So the music teacher wrote the score, and the English teachers wrote the lyrics. And they did a very good job. I can still remember it now. It was really, really good stuff. Very impressive. Teachers were actually wasted in their jobs. They should really have turned professional. But they did this anyway. And so this friend of theirs came over to help. And he played the bass, I think it was, the bass guitar. And he was, like I said, he was impressed. He said, listen, I work for the BBC. He was a session musician for the BBC. Now for those people who don't know who that is, if you're from abroad, BBC is like the British Broadcasting Corporation. It was a big TV thing, but it also did the local radio and did a fair bit of thing. It was basically a community thing, but on a national scale. And he said, so he took the music to show his boss, who was, I think it was head of music at Pebble Mill, which was where they did a lot of the records, musical recording. And he took it to him, and this guy said, these kids are really good. I like it. So he said, I don't know whether it was a bit of PR, whether it was genuine or what, but he said, do they want to come along one Saturday and we'll put the music down to track, and then they can sort of put it out as a cassette, no CDs in those days, as a cassette, and maybe make a bit of money for the school. So that was great. So anyway, we all trundled off one Saturday and we recorded this all the music that we've been doing. And the next thing we knew, they said, we're going to put this stuff together. And the English teacher came up to me and said, would I like to do the cover? And I thought, wow, brilliant. I'd love to do that. I couldn't believe it. I was going to get my first. It wasn't a commission as such. I wasn't getting paid for it. But I could do my illustration. So I showed them the illustration I wanted to do. And they said, that'd be wonderful. And my dad, who was really happy that I was getting this job, had his own print business. And he said, I'll do the covers. And they said, wonderful. That's great. So so he did that. So he promised to do all the covers, and just as they sort of dealt with it, and Dad had sort of got all the various card and all this, the art teacher, guy called Mr. Hargreaves, I think his name was John Hargreaves, could be mistaken. I'll name him because he was an absolute pig for what he did. He threatened to bring all the unions out on strike unless he got to do the cover for this record. Forget the fact that some kid was just feeling great about having his work published. Forget all that. No, he was the art teacher, so therefore he should be the one that sort of gets to illustrate it. And the teachers came to me and they had to sort of say, look, we're really, really sorry, the English teachers, we're really, really sorry. If we don't do it, then the whole school will come out on strike. And I had to sort of say, okay, fair enough. It turns out I was the adult. And so the art teacher got to do the cover. But to add insult to injury, he took my illustration and copied it badly. I'll never forget that. I remember the two teachers. I remember the one, Mr. Cousins, English teacher. He was really nice about it. He really felt bad. There's nothing he could do about it, though. He's just this idiot teacher who just, I don't know. Those that can't do teach. That's what I've always said. And it was proved that day. He was just horrible. So he was a very, very nasty person. So yeah, so that was the story of the power station. Now it made the national news, not national newspapers, the local newspapers. And there's a photo somewhere. If I can dig it out, then it'll be up around here somewhere. But I don't know whether I will, because I think it was on Faceless Book, and I'm no longer on Faceless Book. So yeah, so there we go. So there's Nosha. This is Oliver. Oliver was like an orphan. Nosha was he was an enforcer. And he sort of looked after the power station gang. He was he wasn't the leader, but he was the big fella that everyone went to. But then the real one, the Mr. Fix-It, which the character I played, was Scratch. And this is Scratch now. Scratch was, well, like I say, he was a Mr. Fix-It guy. That was the name of the song. I don't remember the lyrics to it now. He's the cool cat. Oh, I don't know. I used to know, because obviously I sang it God knows how many times, but I used to know it quite well. And they had him dressed up as a kind of what we would call a spiv. I don't know what you would call it in different parts of the world, America, that kind of stuff. But he's the guy that in the Second World War, he got all the food, all the nylons for the women, and extra luncheon meat and all this stuff. A very smooth character, a very smooth operator. Let's get him right here. So you can see, obviously, from the original that they did, as opposed to my now illustration. Yeah, I'll have him coming a little bit further away from them all. Yeah, they had these very high up trousers, didn't they? Up there or down? I think it was. Yeah, that's it. We'll give them a big kipper tie as well. They seem to be very popular. These god awful ties that they had with various designs on. Right. Um, those days there was I mentioned it or alluded to it, shall we say, in the introduction, is that there was no um, books out there or any way of learning to draw cartoons other than buying the newspapers, which used to carry, a fair whack of cartoons back then. They stopped doing it. Did I put ears on him? Yes, I did. I'm sorry, I'm trying to do two things here: talk and think. Yeah. Um, yeah. So we all we could really do was go by what was in the newspapers. My granddad used, I think I mentioned it before in a different video. My granddad used to collect them for me. He used to buy the newspaper that had the most cartoons in, and then he'd sort of save them all for me. And we discuss it when we used to go and see them on the weekend. And how am I going to do this now? I think, yeah, we'll have him holding on to his lapels. That's it. So we'll remove a little bit of the kipper tie now. This can be in the way. Yeah, he'd buy all these newspapers and everything, get all the cartoons from them. We sit and chat about it. So that was the only way that I could. Any sort of artwork that I had to sort of work on, other than cartoon collections, which I used to buy a lot of. So I'd have like a paper round in the morning, every morning. I'd do a paper round when I come home from school, and I'd do a milk round, a milk delivery round when I was on the Saturday and the Sunday in the early morning, and then in the afternoon on a Saturday I'd go out and do the Saturday papers. And yeah, so all the money I get from that, I'd spend on books, studying the art of cartoons. And that was what I'd do. So from that, I learned to draw cartoons. And as the years went on, I got better and better, or more professional, more proficient. And then I found the book by Preston Blair. Now I will come to that one day. I'll do a video on that because that in itself was like a big turning point for me. And I'm going to be gone for this one. Yeah. I think I may actually ink it whilst I carry on talking. Should I do that? No music this time, just ink and talk. Let's do that. Right, I'll get the inks out. I'll be back in a second. Right, I lied to you again, didn't I? We're not going to see me inking and talking. We're going to do the usual thing, which is slightly speeded up with a bit of music, because a lot of people seem to enjoy that. Maybe it's the choice of music, maybe it's the fact it's speeded up, maybe it's the fact that I finally shut up, stop talking for a few minutes. But it also, before I go into that, because it'll shorten the video a little bit and make it a bit easier on the old logarithms thingamajigs. So before we go into the inking, gives me a chance to do a bit of shameless self-marketing. Now, there are two reasons why I do these videos. One, I do love doing them. I love the interaction that I have with you. I love the comments I get. I read them, I enjoy them, and I reply to them. It's all great fun. The other side of it, and many of you regular followers will know this, is that I also produce my own books, graphic novels, collections of cartoon jokes, stories, all sorts of children's books, all sorts of things. And it's up on my Amazon page. Now, there are universal links in the description below for every single book that I do. And by going along there and seeing what I do and purchasing books, like many of you already have, it gives me a little bit of an income.
Not a huge amount, but that's what YouTube's about. It's lots of little bits of incomes coming from all over the place. And this is one of them. I want to build an audience on YouTube. At the moment, at the point of this video going out, I'm on 988 followers. So who knows, by the time it comes out, it might have gone over the magical 1,000 mark. I'd like to get it to somewhere around about, I'll be happy between 75 and 100,000 followers. That should be enough for people to continue to buy my work, give me an income, and that will be me. I'm more than happy for the rest of my life doing that. Great. So yeah, so you can go out and you can purchase any of those books. It helps support me and enables me to continue doing what it is that I do. Also, a lot of the stuff on YouTube is me going through what it is that I'm doing, the books that I'm writing, the books that I'm producing. There'll be a video in a couple of weeks about me doing just that. So it's all interlinked and connected. The other thing you can do is something I just recently started, which is buy me a coffee. Now, people have mentioned about getting a Patreon page going, and I'm not sure what I can offer for a Patreon page. So as a toe dipper, I've gone into buy me a coffee, which just means you don't have to buy a monthly subscription. If you watch the video and think, I like that, he entertained me, he's an old Aegis, but he entertained me, I'll buy him a coffee. Even if he doesn't drink coffee, even if he's a tea drinker, there's no such thing as buy me a tea. If there was, I'd be on it. So buy me a coffee, that also helps support me. There's also a link for that in the description below. Another way, and a final way that you can help support me, is by sharing this video on your social media. I'm not on social media, so can't do that. So if you want to go out there and do it and let everyone become aware of me, then that's another way of getting the numbers up, which will bring in people who may want to go out and buy the book. So it's a good way of supporting me. So with all that, there should have been a few images around me whilst I've been waffling away of some of the titles that I produce. But whatever happens, thank you very much for your support. Like I say, there are viewers out there who have gone out and purchased my books, bought me a coffee. I'm eternally grateful. It allows me to continue doing what I love, which is being silly, entertaining people, and scribbling on a piece of paper. It's a great life. Right, shall we go back to the inking and put a bit of ballet tunes and music? Let's do that.